Hey there, it's Andre the Impulsive Thinker. Today I have Laura Bull from Brand Management Co., and she is a brand strategist who specializes in transforming people into competitive and sustainable business brands. She's also the best-selling author, From Individual to Empire, Guide to Building an Authentic and Powerful Brand. Thanks for joining us today, Laura.
Thanks for having me.
Did you want to just give a quick intro and elevator pitch about what you do and why you do it? I think it's a big, important part of that.
Well, yeah. So I guess the same reasoning goes behind why I wrote my book. So is why I started my consultancy and my marketing firm. But basically, I left corporate America and realized that a lot of the independent artists that I was working in, because my background is the music industry. A lot of independent artists were ready and embarking on these really expensive marketing strategies and campaigns, and they would get into them and realize they weren't working after they'd already spent their very hard-earned money. And then at further glance we realized they really didn't have a brand to stand on, and it wasn't that the marketing campaigns were bad, it was just that they didn't have a brand. And so really I just started realizing that a lot of people out there just didn't understand the difference between marketing and branding. And so I decided, there's 1,000 million marketing books out there, not many branding ones. So I wanted to help people figure out how to turn their personalities and their values and their life experiences and turn that into an actual sellable product-based brand.
Okay, so you mentioned marketing and branding are two different things.
Completely.
I think a lot of us are thinking they should be the same, or they are the same, or a lot of people are telling me they're the same. Why are you saying they're not the same?
So basically, the thing that I always say is that marketing is what you want to say for the next 20 days, where branding is really what you want to say for the next 20 years. And that's the difference. Branding is the foundation. It's the reputation of what you're selling. It's what is going to connect with an audience. And then marketing strategies all have to be built around the brand. So if there is no solid brand, marketing starts flailing and they start chasing shiny objects and they lose their place in the marketplace. There's so many different factors that end up happening once if there's no brand foundation for a company to stand back. But also, I see companies that the best and most successful companies actually use their brand for other areas, including hiring talent. Who are the people that are going to understand the values of this brand? And how are they going to connect this brand with the consumer? So it really does affect all business aspects of a company, from the people and the team that come on to how much money is spent, where they spend their time on, what platforms they go after, et cetera.
So using branding for hiring, is that going to be more important nowadays? Especially over the last 20, not 20 years, but 5-6 years, it seems like, this new generation is wanting purpose, to work for companies with a purpose.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself. It is about the purpose. I actually just recently did a global webinar for a HR company that focus on, helping HR professionals across the world level up how to recruit, because that's the biggest issue right now is or in the last couple of years, people were bouncing from where they were because it was just a job, but now they want to know that what they do matters. And so that does have a lot of impact on recruiters and how they bring people and the right people. But also I've seen companies completely turn around from making sure that their culture is efficient. So that also has always played a role into how successful businesses grow. So yes, it is a big factor that they would not have direction if it wasn't for a brand.
Can you have a brand with no values?
No.
What?
Nope. I mean, I
Well,
could get
the reason
meta
I
on.
ask is a lot of companies put values on the wall. They put a bunch of mission statements, but it's just there for decoration. And
Yes.
then they're saying there's a brand associated with it. So
So there are companies that do not follow up on their core values, which is detrimental, of course, and that it goes back to actually the staff that they've hired and the team that they've hired. But there is a difference between values and brand pillars. So brand pillars are really I hate to say an adjective because it's not always an adjective, but it just tends to be an adjective. Really, the pillars are what make the brand authentic and separates it from the competition. There are a lot of times where the brand values and the pillars are similar. Sometimes they're the same, but it will not be a 100% across the board values equals brand pillars. So really what I help people do is figure out what those brand pillars are. What is the personality of the brand? What is the values of the brand? What is the purpose of the brand? What are the shared values that they have in common with their audience? Because that's the only way that they can build brand loyalty. And so when you get a group of brand pillars, you're only looking for 4 to 5. But it's that grouping together that is going to set somebody apart from the competition. So for instance, let me give you an example. If I were to come up to you and say, hey, I can't think of the singer's name. It's a female, and she's a powerhouse vocalist, right? What would you say?
Me, Martina McBride.
Okay, Martina. Ooh, I worked with Martina.
She is one of my best favorite artists.
She's one of my favorite because she's a sweetheart too. But so okay, you could be Martina, you could be Carrie Underwood, someone else I work with.
Correct. Yeah.
You could be Whitney Houston. You could be, I mean, there's so many different people that you could be, right? But if I said, oh, no, she's British, she's got this mod quality happening. Now, who would you say?
Adele.
Right. 100% Adele across the board. It's not saying that she's not a powerhouse vocalist, right? I'm adding the elements that is going to define her in the marketplace of other powerhouse vocalists, right? So it's really the grouping together. And these elements, these brand pillars have to show up in the image of the artist or the business. I'm still on the Adele thing, but any person that is the face of their business. So even if they're a realtor, the brand pillars have to show up in their image. It has to show up in their narrative. And it also has to show up in the product and the service that they're providing to the consumer. And if all of those brand pillars, like all 4 or 5 of them, do not show up in any of them or in all of them, there's a disconnect. And that's where people start getting confused.
So it's almost as if your pillars are the foundation of your brand.
Yeah, the grouping of the pillars are the foundation of the brand.
But the grouping is the key important part. Is what I'm hearing. You need all the pillars in your messaging, in your presentation, which is actually important for marketing.
Oh, yes, 100%. It will all stem into marketing. For instance, if I'm doing a social media post for a client, then I'm looking at making sure when I create the content for that post, before I load it up into the scheduler, I'm going to ask myself these questions. Does it have pillar 1? Does it have pillar 2? Does it have pillar 3? Does it have pillar 4? Is the shared value here? Is the purpose here? Those are the questions that I'm going to ask before I hit send on that social media post. Every image, especially the logos and fonts and the brand guidelines, all of those things have to show a balance of the brand pillars. And if it doesn't, you don't have enough time. Listen, people make their decision on an impression on something in literally nanoseconds. Before you've even said a word, they are going to make a somewhat decision whether they like something or not.
Right.
So image is not everything, because what follows up next is just as important. I also equate it to, you get 5 minutes on the Tonight Show couch. What are you going to say that's going to make people go, oh, wow, that person has the it factor? Like, what is the it factor? I've worked in music, in the music industry with some of the most successful artists in the world. I've worked with television, Emmy award winning, and actors and actresses, and major CEOs of major corporations. Like, there is no such thing. I am here to tell you, there is no such thing as the it factor. The thing that makes the it factor is when all of the brand pillars are so obvious in the image narrative and the service or the product that is being provided. And it is such a clear, concise message to the consumer within nanoseconds. That is what makes people respond. That is the it factor.
So a lot of it is subliminal or subconscious then?
A lot of it is because, you can't please everybody, right? Mm-hmm. There's a reason why we have target audiences and why you build brands around a specific target audience. For instance, everybody has different perceptions of the world. I see color red differently than you see color red. Mm-hmm. I smell lavender differently than you're going to smell lavender. So your perceptions of life are going to be different than mine. And that is still true with any kind of brand that's out in the marketplace. For instance, Kanye, mm-hmm. right? I have a whole thing about him in the book. Of course, it's a little outdated at this point, but
still valid
because he's constantly in the news. But if they're no matter what Kanye does, he is going to make some people very angry, and he's going to make some people very happy. Mm-hmm. It's just about those specific people's perceptions of the world, right? So what could be an it factor for me is not necessarily going to be the it factor for you.
Well, I think it's very important for everyone to understand is that we're not for everyone.
Nobody's for everyone.
No one's for everyone.
No one's for everyone.
Everyone has their own unique service providers. Everyone has their ideal client, and they all have a uniqueness, and only certain people are drawn to me for certain reasons. And a lot of people are turned off by me for the same reasons.
It's the same thing like Nike, right? You can't say they're not successful, but there's an Adidas for a reason.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So yeah. So even if they don't hate your brand, listen, you don't want to be hated or anything, but
preference.
Yeah. But if somebody likes a different brand because of the whole purpose of branding is to set something different, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I am unique in this marketplace, and this is why. There is something that puts Adidas separate from, and it's the same thing with, like, I could go into like Land Rovers and Jeep, know?
Yep.
Jeeps are outdoorsy fun. That's the personality that's put on it. It's outdoorsy fun. It's adventure, right? A Land Rover is a little bit more classy. It's got a little bit more luxury added to it, right?
So the branding is more of a personal connection than marketing would be more messaging?
Yes. So you want all of your marketing strategy to get across the brand message, right? Mm-hmm. So the brand itself, and that's why the foundation is so important, because it does have a personality and it does have those shared values. And that is the only thing that will connect to the target audience. So for instance, one brand over here does a book campaign, right? Giveaway. And this brand over here does another book giveaway campaign. One's successful, one's not. It's the same marketing strategy, right? They could have been put on the same platform. So
could
what's
been a disconnect in the branding then?
There's a disconnect in the branding, exactly.
So it's not connecting with the people.
The target people, yes.
Sorry, correction. Target people. I think that's a great distinction for everyone to understand. Target people, not to the masses.
Right. Yeah.
Because I've learned with my engineering and all the other stuff is if I'm trying to market to the masses, I got to be less me.
And I learned that really early on, sitting in a boardroom. And I maybe get some hate mail for this one, but it is in my book too, so I can't say I haven't shared it. But I worked with like I said, I'll just use Carrie Underwood again. Carrie Underwood, Johnny Cash. I worked with them and I loved their music and whatever. I also worked Kenny Chesney. Kenny has a very beachy, college-esque thing happening. Listen, I love the guy. He's very nice. He is a marketing He's brilliant. He's very brilliant when it comes to marketing. So very good. It's just not my cup of tea. I like my stuff a little bit more rootsy. I like my, Patty Lovelaces of the world and
Oh
stuff.
yeah. Yeah.
So it's just,
You're really bringing up a lot of my childhood here.
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And I love Patty. I got to work with
Yeah.
Patty. So, I just, there's a difference there. But I am not the core consumer for Kenny.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So as a marketer and as a branding strategist, I have to put myself out of the equation and look at what the consumer is for Kenny. And it's worked because I have a plaque of like 25 million sold behind me. And I know he's sold more since then. So,
yeah. Well, I know for me a long time ago, I started realizing I was fighting with a lot of other service providers or other companies. And then finally one day I just said, you know what? I'm not your target market. So why am I going to fight this?
Yes, exactly.
And the problem is I was responding more to their brand than anything. So I've got these pillars. That's the structure is what I'm seeing. Sorry, my engineering nerdy mind's going this way.
Yeah, I know you're good.
But the pillars, there's got to be one more thing that ties us all together, like gives me direction, or like to me, I don't understand what I need to do to create my messaging. But is there something that makes that grouping make sense?
Yeah. So basically, let me just tell you a little bit about my book and how it's structured so that you know exactly what the payoff is. The first part is really that introspection, the looking at what the shared values are, figuring out exactly how to target what you want to say for the next 20 years. What's the fluff and what do you want to say for the next 20 years, right? Then the second part is where I reveal my brand matrix, which is a Venn diagram that helps you figure out image, narrative, product, service, and what's going to be in the middle. It's all those brand pillars. And then we do exercises and walk you through that process. And I really break down what image is, what narrative is, what product service is, right? And I go into all the bad narratives that you want to avoid, which are plentiful, let me tell you. So then the third part is really about evolution. How do we keep fresh in the marketplace? How do you get to icon status, right? How do you really build that empire? And we go into that. At the end of the book, the goal is for you to take the shared value, the purpose, the brand purpose, and all of those brand pillars, 4 to 5, right? You don't want more than that at all. But all of those different elements, and you create what I call a brand statement.
TM.
Yes. So think about a mission statement, right? But this one includes all the brand elements that are necessary to survive. So, I have clients that take that brand statement, they work it into their bios. I have people that don't want to share the brand statement, because it sometimes is a little wordy, but they don't necessarily, reveal all the eggs in the basket, if you will. So what they do is they just print it out on a sheet of paper and put it on top of their desk so that it's the thing that they can make business decisions based off of all day long. If an offer for a partnership comes through the door and it's a $10 million deal, that's a big decision. Do I take it? Do I leave it? Right? If it does not go with my brand statement, I leave it because the damage that it could cause is more than what the revenue stream could potentially bring it.
To the brand, you mean, and to your reputation, which is ultimately tied.
Yes.
So it almost sounds like it's a North Star, like a compass to help you direct whatever you're planning to do. Or I never even thought about with the collaboration side or partnerships. Does it fit my purpose?
Oh man, that's a whole nother podcast about brand partnerships and how those work well. But yeah, it is a North Star. And it's basically to give you as the entrepreneur clarity, right? So that clarity is with you constantly and it just helps you stay on track, right? There are so many things in business, so many things with the marketplace, so many exterior and interior challenges, go through a SWOT analysis, right? There's so many different things that can veer you off course. That will keep you on course. And consistency is what makes brands successful.
So I was going to say it's like a roadmap. It's actually like a GPS system.
Yeah.
Almost. All right. Enough nerding out.
I love it.
But Yeah, I really like your brand matrix, and it goes in great detail. It's a very simplified view of looking at branding, because for a while I hated the term. I hated the term
That
influencer.
I get that all the time, and that's why I created
It's
it.
like,
It's super simple.
but it's super simple, clear and succinct and logical. And
Yes.
it doesn't, when I'm sorry, it kind of does, it does not follow the norm, which makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
But I highly recommend you buy this book, because I read it, and it's very clear, and you've helped me work with my brand statement and pillars, and it just gives me the clarity. And for me, at the beginning, I was all over the place. But what
Right.
you did help me with the brand statement and the purpose was to focus. Now I got a wide bowling alley to play with, but I still have my kid bumpers up so that I can keep in that lane.
Well, and it's funny because the more focused you are on the brand, the more infinite marketing possibilities come to the table. You
Yeah.
can have way more fun on the marketing side when you have a clear runway for the brand itself. And
Yeah.
that's what I try, because I work with a lot of creatives, right? And so many creatives are, their first inclination is to go, oh my God, but I can't evolve. I can't change. I can't play. Like, no, that's absolutely not what I'm saying.
No.
You can be even more creative and have the clarity on where you can be creative, which is actually usually a huge sigh of relief to creatives.
Well, it is, because in a way it's a 20-year roadway or runway you've given, but there's
Right.
clarity on it. And I know for the ADHD brain, for me, it was just like, all right, I know what I need to do. And with my time blindness, it's 20 years, but that's guiding me every day. So it's just keeping in front of my face, which is very helpful.
Well, that's good to hear. Yeah, definitely.
So where can we find your book? Because I know you just got launched in May 31st in hardcover.
Yeah, so the hardcover edition just came out. The Audible was an instant bestseller on Amazon, so that's available. I've got the paperback and the ebook. So all the books are available anywhere, the top retailers, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, etc. And you can actually pick up the hardcover in person if you're traveling around and going to the airports this summer. They'll be in both Hudson News and Parodies.
Oh, nice. Congratulations on that. I heard it's not very easy to get into the airports.
They are very difficult, but I am very blessed.
But you stuck to brand, you stuck to your purpose.
I'm just happy that, the point of the book was to help people, and it is resonating. And what I love is getting feedback on Amazon and on Goodreads and socials, even on my website, that I am shocked at how many different industries it actually helps. I mean, I knew that, but it was an eye opener. I get people
You
from
got the confirmation, the validation that it does work elsewhere.
and internationally. Like, I get people from Brazil and Italy, and I mean it's really great. It's
Canada.
Really help Canada. Of course, Canada. I got a lot from Canada. So but I just love being able to help, because especially when you're just starting out as entrepreneurs, people feel like branding is so expensive, which, listen, it is.
It could be with the wrong people and for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, you don't want to be doing it multiple times, that's for sure. Brand strategy is always evolving, but what I do is I am transparent. I bring my clients into the process. I help them understand the process so that they can continue it forever, right? They can make the shifts as they need to.
Well, it's the one of the most difficult questionnaire I've ever filled out.
Yeah, it's a very extensive. I want to know what you're going to say for the next 20 years, not the next 2 years. So I mean, one of the biggest reasons that I wrote the book was that I don't want new entrepreneurs who don't have the funding necessarily right off the bat to just go start spending their money on marketing or social media and then realize when it's too late, right?
When it's too late.
It's too late. It's always too late.
Yeah.
I worked with a very large company that was very successful, and I think they came to me a little too late on the branding aspect of it, and they've been struggling. So it's like most people realize there's an issue with brand when it's too late. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and just want to point out to everyone, like, your services doesn't only include creating these words on a piece of paper. You get involved with the imaging, direction on the imaging, the branding, the messaging, and even auditing what we're doing right or wrong over a period of time, and some direction also with marketing, which I think is also, I think is a good service and key.
if you're going into a corporate environment, you have branding people on staff that are, strategizing all year long,
Right.
and a lot of entrepreneurs don't have that. So we try to at least check in and make sure that what we had started to create is still applicable.
Applicable. Yeah.
That was an easy word for me to say. So yeah, I mean, I really try to, coming from the corporate environment, I try to bring that as much as possible to entrepreneurs or small businesses.
And I think the big key thing is you simplified it. And
Yeah.
you can communicate it simply, and it makes very logical sense. So, well, thank you, Laura, for sharing your knowledge and experience here. And I recommend everyone to get the books. I'm going to have the link in the show notes where they can get it. Where can they connect with you?
Well, they can go to my website and join our newsletter. We send out at least once a month, and we do blogs and etc. And for me, on most of my socials, it's at the Laura Bull. And then we also have the company one, which is the brand management, which is MGMT Co.
Yep. And again, we'll have that in the show notes, so it's easy for everyone. And thanks again, Laura. And what I want everyone to take away today is that branding is what you say, what you want to say for the next 20 years, and marketing is what you want to say in the next 20, which also reflects as Laura said, branding directs your marketing message. And branding is a personal connection, while what I understood was marketing is more the message only. And we need that personal connection with our target market. And then the branding separates yourself from competitors and then draws the right people to listen to you. Was I educated right?
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
What? Yeah. I think you forgot the days there. So yeah, 20 days instead of it's what branding is what you want to say for the next 20 years, and marketing is what you want to say for the next 20 days. Yeah.
I won't doubt you. I missed that. And I was even reading it, but I'm okay with it. I'm okay.
I love it.
But that's why you do what you do best. So thanks again. And for the listeners, have you thought about your brand the way Laura talked about it today? I would love to hear from you if you do. And I'm sure Laura would like to hear from you as well. So thanks again, Laura.
Thank you.
And to the listeners, thanks for listening. Talk to you soon.